my fellow Republicans and my fellow Americans. It is a privilege to be here with you today, and I want to thank God for the opportunity to be here with you. It's a great day in the USA still, and it is an opportunity again for me to say that freedom does indeed work. I want to thank all of the sponsors of this occasion that we have here. Paul, Joe, I want to thank you for the invitation that you have offered here to us today, and to all of these candidates who are in the room. It is a privilege to be among you. I'd like to shake as many hands as I can. I crisscross the nation at least once a month, every month, and so I'll be off to catch a plane here by 6 o'clock. I got to be on it. But I'd like to talk to a few of you before we leave. Freedom Works is the largest grassroots organization in the nation. We boast 6.2 million grassroots activists on the ground throughout this nation, and even in Israel, where I helped form the first grassroots, what we used to call Tea Party there. We call it kosher tea in Tel Aviv. My friends, you can Google me or follow me on Twitter at Rev CL Bryant, or go to my webpage, theclbryantshow.com. Every day on Red State Talk Radio, coast to coast, you can catch my radio show by means of downloading the app. 168 years ago, Alex de Tocqueville spoke these words. He said, "The American Republic will endure until the day that Congress discovers that it can bribe the public by offering them the public's money." Friends, as this French philosopher and politician looked at the state of America and what we were all about, it appears that something prophetic touched him and gave him a vision of what we could descend into if we were not careful. As I travel this nation, I do see a certain descent that we are currently involved in. We're descending into a place that can lead us to a dark night in our country if, in fact, people like you do not exercise what I'm about to talk to you about here today, and that is the Republican story. The day has come now where we no longer have time or room or patience for men and women who do not have courage, for men and women who do not have intestinal fortitude and the confidence in their convictions. I say this boldly wherever I go because I paid a price to be a black conservative, to be a black Republican. That's not the most popular thing that you can be in this country at this time. But I don't do this because it is popular. I do this because I believe it's right. And because the first question that we as Republicans must ask ourselves, we as conservatives must ask ourselves, is this one. What are we prepared to do? I know what we want to do. We know what we should do. But the question, Republicans, that we must ask ourselves, and I've been one for 25 years, however, that has not always been the case. 25 years ago, standing before you is the former president of the NAACP in Garland, Texas. We were suing the school district there in federal court. I know the game plan of the progressive liberals. I was telling Rick Chacon that came to my attention many years ago that the NAACP wanted to use me as a tool to influence other people in the way they thought. And as you look at that organization today, they have become a working arm of the progressive liberals and the Democrat Party. So I broke away. And the question that you have to answer today is the question that I answered. What are you prepared to do? What price are you prepared to pay? The place that I am now cost me a church that I built. Good Lord allowed me to build a brand new congregation. If you look at my film, Runaway Slave, which won the Crystal Dove Award 3 years ago for Best Documentary in Limited Release, you'll see a little old country church down in the country, and the Lord blessed me to build a church out on the main road, a big, beautiful $1.5 million structure. But the politics that I had embraced, the people like you that I was now associated with, it told the congregation that he's not one of us. And I don't know about you Catholics, my roots are Catholics, but I was a Baptist minister at that time. And every Baptist minister can tell you you're only one deacon's meeting away from being dismissed. So it was with me. So it cost something. And the question that I bring to you today is, what are you prepared to do? What sacrifices are you prepared to make? I am often asked, if I travel around this country, CL, what can we do as Republicans? What can we do as conservatives to reach our children, to reach the minorities, to broaden our tent? My answer is always the same when I speak to Republicans groups, when I speak to conservatives. And that is, tell your story. For some reason, the GOP runs from its own story.
Yes. That's it. Yep.
For some reason, we have allowed the Democrat Party to co-opt our story. You ask the average high schooler what party Abraham Lincoln was from, and they'll tell you he was a Democrat. He has to be. Because in their minds, all that's good about America, all that's right about America, they have been brainwashed, literally, to believe that you are evil. And they somehow are on a track to some type of perfect world. That's what the Nancy Pelosi's and the Chuck Schumers will have them believe. Republicans, we have lost focus. Not only have we lost focus, we have lost a sense of our purpose. And whenever you lose focus of a thing or a person, abuse is inevitable. That's why we feel abused so many times in our Republican circles, because even those that we send to Washington are seduced. I'm in and out of Washington all the time. Our headquarters at Freedom Works is in Washington, D.C. You can throw a rock and hit the Capitol from our office, right above the Fox News Washington Bureau. They are seduced. And there is a message that you must send to them from right here in Allegheny County. You must send the message to elected officials, and to all of you elected officials. You must understand something, that the day is past and gone when we're just going to let you go to office without us overseeing what you are doing. We will no longer tolerate those who are in office doing that. Ronald Reagan was a great conservative and a great president. The revolution that he started is one of the reasons why I'm here today. But let me say this to you, that there is a possibility and there is an opportunity now for us, as our president has said, and I've met him on 3 occasions now, interviewed him once before he was president, was on with him the same stage, share the same stage with him, with my good friend Sean Hannity, just about 8 months ago now. He was a businessman then, he's a businessman now. He's a very different type of individual then, he's a very different type of individual now. But there's one thing that he is. He's a very serious patriot. He does love our military, and he does want to restore our nation to greatness, and we can restore this nation to greatness. We can have all the possibilities that are available to us. And I want to tell you Republicans here and now that I believe that restoring our nation to greatness will be led by the Republican Party if we tell our story. On the field of Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln stood there and he proclaimed that our nation, the creed of our nation, is based on a proposition. It is dedicated to that proposition. And that proposition is that all men are created equal. All of us are created equal. But then on that same battlefield, he asked a question. How long can a nation so conceived endure? Can that nation, who is dedicated to the proposition that all of us are created equal, how long can it endure? Americans, we have reached a crossroads in our nation at this point in time. And the longevity of our country, the longevity of America, is certainly in the balance. I don't think it may have crossed your mind that she can go away. America can be lost. And it can wind up on the scrap heap of all the other mediocre countries that have existed throughout the history of mankind. But why has this nation been such a light to the world? It's because of the exceptional nature of who we were founded to be. It's because of the exceptional nature of who we have grown to be. Yes, through the ups, through the downs of our infancy. In the 1700s, in the ups and downs of, yes, the evil of slavery. In the 1800s, in our adolescence, where we were in the 60s, the ups and downs of all of that, America has stood strong. And in our young adulthood, through the 70s and the 80s, where we became into our own, where the playing fields were leveled for all of us who live here in this country to take advantage of the great opportunity that is America. But she can go away. There is no guarantee that our nation will survive without you. And Republicans, for some reason, we have lost our way. For some reason, we have fallen asleep. But there is a message that we must tell those who expected us to die, dry up, and blow away. Those who expect the demise of the Republican Party and the conservative movement. Those who expect us to go away. We send this message from the Pittsburgh area today.
that we are Americans, and we will not go quietly into the night. We will stand and we will fight for the republic that our forefathers died for to preserve, so that we can have this opportunity. And I need you to stand with all of us in preserving it. We are America.